And the thing that you have to know about Paige Bueckers is that, like, what you see is what you get. She is actually that cool. She is actually that smart, and she's like very wise beyond her years.
Elle Duncan dropped a bombshell that's lighting up the women's basketball world. She boldly claimed that Paige Bueckers is the better player than Caitlin Clark, a statement that has stirred passionate debates among fans and experts alike.
I firmly believe that the biggest star on the planet would be Paige Bueckers.
Known for her court vision and unshakable efficiency, Paige Bueckers has been hailed as the epitome of a complete player. But is she really better than Caitlin Clark, whose electrifying performances have redefined what it means to dominate the game?
And I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport. And it just is not going to stop here on the collegiate tour. But when she is the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, she's gonna lift that league up.
Caitlin's knack for hitting deep threes and carrying her team single-handedly has made her a household name, but Elle's assertion focuses on Paige's ability to blend offensive brilliance with defensive excellence.
We talk about this young girl from Minnesota who popped on everybody's radar as a 15-year-old and handled the immense pressure it takes to be Paige Bueckers.
This statement comes at a time when the NCAA landscape is buzzing with transformative players and unprecedented competition. Paige's return from injury and her ability to lead her team efficiently while maintaining a remarkable 62% shooting percentage is a testament to her game-changing influence. Meanwhile, Caitlin's trailblazing impact on viewership and record-breaking performances remain undeniable.
Caitlin Clark is just such a class act. She was incredible, breaking all types of records, and that's something she was certainly proud of. We saw lots of smiles on the court.
Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that?
In today's video, we'll unpack this heated claim, explore what it really means to be a better player, and dive into the wider trends reshaping NCAA women's basketball. Does Paige's all-around game truly outshine Caitlin's scoring dominance? Or is this just another manufactured rivalry fueled by rising stars like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson, players who've never shied away from taking a jab at Caitlin Clark? Let's break it all down.
Caitlin Clark is becoming the best player, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnovers.
The discussion around who reigns supreme, Paige Bueckers or Caitlin Clark, has reignited a firestorm in women's basketball. On one hand, Caitlin Clark has mesmerized fans with her unmatched ability to score from virtually anywhere on the court. Her deep threes, court presence, and sheer confidence have drawn comparisons to Steph Curry, making her a role model for aspiring players who dream of breaking traditional molds.
The biggest reason that she's popular is it's the Steph Curry syndrome. She looks a lot like the girl who's out shooting hoops next door, and she plays like we are all capable of playing.
Caitlin's historic runs with Iowa, where she carried the team to improbable finishes, have cemented her as a generational talent. Yet, Elle Duncan's bold statement that Paige Bueckers might actually be the better player shines a spotlight on a different set of qualities: efficiency, versatility, and basketball IQ.
The WNBA tried to capitalize on her popularity and crammed a lot of games in over a short amount of time, playing against the best teams in the WNBA.
Paige Bueckers is a player who thrives on doing the little things right, and her style mirrors that of a LeBron James-type figure in basketball. Her 62% field goal percentage this season isn't just impressive, it's elite, especially considering her role as both a primary scorer and facilitator. She boasts an incredible 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, proving that she's not only making plays, but doing so with surgical precision.
But she is, in my mind, going to be one of those stars at 10, 15 years from now, just like a LeBron James.
While Caitlin dazzles with explosive offensive performances, Paige's ability to impact the game on both ends of the floor and her knack for avoiding costly mistakes make her a coach's dream. Gino Auriemma, her coach at UConn, has often praised her consistency and leadership, emphasizing that she rarely makes decisions that hurt her team. Another layer to this debate lies in the cultural and psychological pressures both players face. Caitlin's rise as a transcendent scorer has brought her immense popularity but also scrutiny. Her game game is high risk, high reward, often leaving her as both the hero and the scapegoat depending on Iowa's results. Paige, on the other hand, has had to overcome severe injuries and still managed to maintain her status as one of the brightest stars in the sport. Elle Duncan pointed out that had Paige stayed healthy throughout her college career, she might already have eclipsed Caitlin in both accolades and cultural impact. Her ability to bounce back and lead her team after injury showcases not just skill, but resilience, a trait that resonates deeply in the sports world.
One thing Caitlin Clark does maybe better than anybody in sports right now makes it about others, makes it about team. Think about it. When's the last time you didn't see Caitlin Clark talking about a teammate? When's the last time you saw Caitlin Clark talking about herself or any of the accomplishments that she has had? Let me give you the answer to that. Never! Never! You never hear that. Now, that's why their team has gotten good. She could have been an egomaniac. Everybody in the league knows that she is the league.
What's especially compelling is how these two stars have reshaped the narrative of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark has set records, drawn massive TV audiences, and proven that a single player can carry an entire program. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers represents the ideal of a well-rounded cornerstone player, someone who can anchor a franchise for years to come. Paige's rise also signals the importance of team success. Her UConn Huskies are perennial contenders, and her ability to shine in a system-driven approach contrasts with Caitlin's individual brilliance. This dichotomy between superstar individuality and team-oriented excellence is at the heart of the Paige versus Caitlin debate, and it's why Elle Duncan's statement is sparking such a fierce reaction among fans and analysts alike. While the Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark debate rages on, the broader landscape of NCAA women's basketball is undergoing a seismic shift. Never before has the sport seen this level of parity and talent dispersal, and it's all thanks to a few key factors: NIL deals, the transfer portal, and a generation of athletes redefining what it means to compete at the collegiate level. Players like Paige and Caitlin aren't just basketball stars, they are brands, trailblazers, and the faces of a movement that's putting women's college basketball squarely in the national spotlight. NIL opportunities have transformed the sport, allowing players like Paige Bueckers to capitalize on their immense popularity. Paige made history as the first NIL athlete to release a Nike Player Edition shoe, a milestone that highlights her marketability and influence beyond the hardwood. Her sleek, player-inspired design not only cements her as a cultural icon, but also elevates women's basketball into realms traditionally dominated by men's sports. It's a statement that these athletes aren't just competing for championships, they're creating legacies that resonate far beyond the court. Caitlin Clark, while yet to announce a similar deal, has undoubtedly benefited from this new era, becoming one of the most recognizable figures in sports. With her face plastered across ESPN broadcasts and viral highlights flooding social media. But NIL isn't the only thing shaking up the game. The transfer portal has unleashed a wave of player movement, spreading talent across the country in ways that were unimaginable a decade ago. Programs that once monopolized the top players now find themselves competing with newer powerhouses as athletes seek better fits and opportunities to shine. This year, Haley Van Leith and Sedona Prince have led TCU to an unexpected undefeated start, a feat few predicted. Meanwhile, perennial contenders like South Carolina and UConn face fresh challenges from emerging programs like UCLA, which recently snapped South Carolina's incredible 43-game winning streak. The result, a level of competition that ensures no team can take a win for granted, making every game a must-watch. This new wave of talent is also evident in the stars of tomorrow. Rising phenoms like Juju Watkins are already being heralded as future game changers, ready to carry the torch from players like Paige and Caitlin. Juju, who has the potential to shatter scoring records and dominate headlines, represents the next chapter in this rapidly evolving landscape. The infusion of young talent, combined with the increasing visibility and support for women's basketball, means the sport is on an upward trajectory, drawing record-breaking audiences and unprecedented media attention. However, this growth comes with challenges. The pressure to perform at such a high level is immense, especially for stars like Paige and Caitlin, who are expected to not only dominate games, but also serve as ambassadors for the sport. While Caitlin thrives on the freedom of being a high-volume scorer, Paige's ability to balance stardom with team-oriented play offers a different model of success. These contrasting paths highlight the diversity of talent and styles in the NCAA, a dynamic that's making the women's game more exciting than ever. The overall overarching question remains: how will this evolving landscape influence the next generation of stars? Will they follow Caitlyn's path of individual heroics or emulate Paige's all-around excellence? With players like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson critiquing Caitlyn while others rally behind Paige, it's clear that the sport isn't just growing, it's fostering rivalries and narratives that capture the imagination of fans worldwide. This isn't just women's basketball anymore. It's a cultural movement, and at its heart are players like Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Hey, look at the numbers everywhere else across women's basketball. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's all of us. And then the moment the ratings tank, they're going to come back and say, see, we were right all along. It's all the racists that follow Caitlin Clark that were watching the product, and now they're gone, and we're back with our diehards.
The significance of Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark goes far beyond the box scores and highlight reels. They are the faces of a transformative era in women's basketball. Both players embody different yet equally compelling narratives that are reshaping how the sport is perceived, consumed, and celebrated. Their impact isn't limited to what happens on the court. It extends to cultural, social, and economic spheres, making them pioneers in ways that echo the likes of Serena Williams or even Michael Jordan. For Paige Bueckers, her influence is rooted in her well-rounded game and unflappable demeanor. When Elle Duncan emphasized Paige's ability to consistently elevate her team without making costly errors, it wasn't just praise for her basketball IQ. It was a nod to the reliability and composure that define her legacy. Paige has become a symbol of stability, a player who can adapt to any situation while maintaining efficiency. This isn't just an athletic trait, it's a leadership quality that resonates with teammates, coaches, and fans alike. It's why her return from injury this season has been heralded as a potential game changer for UConn, a program with sky-high expectations every year. Her success underscores the value of resilience and teamwork in a sport often dominated by individual performances. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, represents the audacity to dream big and execute bigger. Her deep threes and fearless style of play aren't just entertaining, they're revolutionary. Caitlin has single-handedly brought a new level of excitement to the game, drawing record-breaking viewership numbers and turning Iowa's improbable runs into national headlines. While Paige might be the steady architect of a team's success, Caitlin is the lightning rod who can change the course of a game in an instant. Her legacy is built on redefining the limits of what's possible, showing young players that greatness isn't about fitting a mold, but about breaking it. The cultural significance of these two stars cannot be overstated. Paige and Caitlin have expanded the audience for women's basketball, making it a legitimate primetime attraction. Caitlin's scoring exploits have drawn comparisons to NBA greats, but more importantly, they've shattered outdated stereotypes about women's sports. Paige, meanwhile, has leveraged her NIL opportunities to become a crossover star, balancing athletic excellence with a polished, approachable persona that makes her a role model for millions. Together, they've shown that women athletes can dominate on the court while building global brands, paving the way for future generations.
It was such a bittersweet end to a phenomenal rookie season that Caitlin Clark had, and it honestly got me to just reflecting on this season. And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps that the WNBA had throughout the entire season.
But their impact also brings challenges. Both players are under immense pressure to deliver, not just for their teams, but for a sport that's depending on them to sustain its meteoric rise. Caitlin's role as Iowa's centerpiece means every win and loss is attributed to her, while Paige faces the burden of being UConn's savior in a program with championship or bust expectations. Their every move is scrutinized, not just by fans, but by critics like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson, whose public comments keep the spotlight on them at all times. This constant pressure could crush lesser players, but Paige and Caitlin thrive on it, using the noise to fuel their performances. What makes this era particularly exciting is how Paige and Caitlin's influence intersects with broader trends in the sport. The explosion of NIL deals, the parity created by the transfer portal, and the arrival of new stars like Juju Watkins mean that women's basketball is no longer confined to a few dominant programs. This decentralization of talent ensures that every team has a shot, making the NCAA tournament more thrilling than ever. Yet, even in this democratized landscape, Paige and Caitlin stand out as generational talents whose rivalry, whether real or perceived, elevates the sport to new heights. Their influence also extends to the WNBA, where both players are expected to become cornerstone figures. Paige's versatility and efficiency make her an ideal franchise player, while Caitlyn's scoring prowess could revolutionize offensive strategies in the league. As WNBA teams prepare to stake their futures on these stars, the stakes for their college careers grow even higher. Every game they play isn't just a showcase of talent, it's a glimpse into the future of basketball itself.
It's kind of the total package, and her being the French breaking that record, and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Paige and Caitlyn's journey is how they've inspired a new generation of fans and players. For years, women's basketball has struggled to gain mainstream attention, but these two stars have proven that the game can captivate audiences just as much as men's sports. Young girls now see themselves in Paige's calm precision or Caitlyn's fearless ambition, and they're dreaming bigger because of it. This isn't just a rivalry between two extraordinary players, it's a movement that's reshaping the cultural landscape of sports. As Elle Duncan's comments ripple through the basketball world, the debate over who is the better player becomes less about stats and more about legacy. Paige and Caitlyn aren't just competing against each other, they're building a foundation for the future of women's basketball, one that promises to be brighter and more inclusive than ever before. And so the debate rages on. Is Paige Bueckers truly the better player, as Elle Duncan so boldly stated? Or does Caitlin Clark's electrifying performances and record-breaking legacy place her at the pinnacle of women's college basketball? What's undeniable is that both players represent the best of what the sport has to offer. They've transcended the court, becoming icons in their own right, and their impact is shaping the future of basketball as we know it. Paige's efficiency, team-oriented play, and ability to thrive under immense pressure have made her the cornerstone of a program with championship aspirations every year. Her return from injury isn't just a comeback story, it's a testament to her resilience and leadership, qualities that will make her an invaluable asset to the WNBA and beyond. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's scoring dominance and magnetic presence have brought unprecedented attention to the women's game, drawing millions of fans who never knew they could be so captivated by a single player. But this story isn't just about Paige and Caitlyn. It's about a sport undergoing a revolutionary transformation, fueled by NIL opportunities, increased parity, and a new generation of stars ready to take the torch. It's about how players like Juju Watkins, Angel Reese, and Sedona Prince are adding their voices to a growing movement that's making women's basketball impossible to ignore. And yes, it's about the rivalries, the comparisons, and even the criticisms that keep fans glued to every twist and turn of the season. As we look ahead, one thing is clear. The Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark debate is only the beginning. The impact they've made on their teams, the NCAA, and the sport as a whole will ripple for years to come. They've set the stage for a future where women's basketball isn't just respected, it's celebrated, cherished, and elevated to heights we could only dream of a few years ago. So whether you're Team Paige, Team Caitlin, or simply a fan of the game, there's never been a better time to follow women's basketball. The rivalries are intense, the talent is unmatched, and the stakes have never been higher. Keep watching, keep debating, and most importantly, keep supporting these incredible athletes who are changing the game forever. Who knows, in another 2 minutes, someone else might drop a bombshell that changes the narrative yet again. But for now, the world is watching, and Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark are making sure it never looks away.